Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to plot a story. Let's go. So like I said, we're going to be talking about plotting out a story. So this is where I begin anytime I decide to sit down and start writing something new. This could be if you're going to start writing a poem, a song, if you're going to be starting a short story, or if you're going to be doing a Lord of the Rings trilogy where every detail in the world is in that damn book. But every story has to start at the same place, and this is how I go through my writing process. So let's get started. Number one is going to be finding an idea. You gotta have an idea for a story. It has to be there. So we've all heard the stories about how J.K. Rowling came up with the idea of Harry Potter while sitting on a train, and it's such a beautiful story. I don't know why. I think the train scene for me was just, I wish I could have, gone to school on a train. I don't know. But for a lot of writers, the story can start out with a thought. It could be a dream, a daydream. It could be something they see out in the world and they're like, hey, I need to write about that. It could be from anything. Or just like a muse decides to just, beat you over the head with a stick and says, you need to write this. So you start with the idea. Point number one with having an idea is once you get the idea, write it down. A lot of people don't do this. And then these beautiful, best-selling stories just get lost in the world and nobody ever writes them. So make sure you write it down. I personally am a notebook whore. That's what I am. First step's admitting. This notebook is not the notebook for my story, but this notebook is for my current WIP, but somewhere in the middle, I've actually put a tab on it. Ugh. Somewhere in the middle is my next stories idea. So I had this idea. It was a dream. It was a dream. And that's actually how a lot of my stories start. It was a dream. For some reason, didn't have a notebook next to my bed. So I rushed downstairs to my office, grabbed the closest notebook to me, which was the notebook I'm working my current WIP with, wrote down everything I could remember and think of and stuff like that. And I kind of put it off to the side. So my current WIP, when I finished writing it at NaNoWriMo, it sat for a month, for the month of December. It literally just sat on my computer away from me and I didn't work on it at all. And while that was sitting, I took this idea out. First things first, you always have to have an idea and you have to write it down. Number two, this is going to be a question. So you think about the idea, you take this idea that you wrote down and you go, what attracts me to the most to this idea? What do I like the most about this idea? Do I like the character or characters? Do I like the planets? The conflict? Do I like, the friendships or the interactions? What is it that I like about this idea? Asking yourself these questions and finding the answer is going to lead you into the next phase. Number three, develop that. No, really. You need to work on it a little bit. That's not perfect. As we just said, I am a notebook whore. I absolutely love hardbound notebooks that are super thick, that are great for everything. So anytime I have a new story idea, I take a notebook, one of these, not those like school spiral bounds, but if you like school spiral bounds, go for it. If you like loose leaf paper, go for it. If you like typing on the computer, go for it. I don't care. Just do what you need to do. So for me, that was this notebook. So I had this one back in the store, and yes, I do have a shelf full of empty notebooks ready for books to fill them in. So what I do is I take the notebook, open it up to the first page, and I write down what intrigues me about that story. And then from there, I'll take my pretty little notebook and I'll put on the first page what intrigued me, and I'll just kind of put down little ideas on that first page and kind of think of, all right, did I like the world? Did I like the character? What was it I liked? So some people might do this where they take notebooks. Like I said, loose leaf paper, put it on the computer. I've even heard of people taking the 3x5 cards and spreading them all over their floor and just writing what they liked and ideas and things like that. And it's just messy to me. I can't do that. But I'll stick with the notebook. So this is going to lead us into number four. Number four is going to be ask questions. Lots of them. My favorite thing about this story was going to be the character. The character really intrigued me. She was going to be put in the middle of a conflict of choosing between her family or her dreams, and that was it. So the character really intrigued me. So the first page is all about that character. So I started putting down her age, her species. You can put anything on there. Sexual orientation, height, color eyes, hair color, anything and everything about the character. Start asking your questions. What is it about this character that intrigues me so much? So the first page, I basically put anything and everything that I kind of already know or that I'm starting to come up with and it's just starting to pop into my head, things like that. But then I'll also keep asking questions. Why is she this species? What kind of world is she living in? What kind of things can happen in this world? Sci-fi, fantasy writer, that's why I'm talking about different worlds. So you have to ask yourself a bunch of different questions. How does she get put in this situation? How does she react to this situation? Are there other situations going on at the exact same time? Question after question after question after question after question. Just keep going. Just ask questions for like days. So once you're sick and tired of asking questions and you think you may have asked all the questions you need to ask, go ahead and just move on to number 5. Number 5 is going to be all about fleshing out everything. Everything. Everything that you just answered in all those days of questions. So during this phase, I'm normally writing another book, editing another book. Something is going on. There's something going on during this time frame. Or even, like I said, I'd put my WIP off to the side to sit before I started editing it. And so this was my only thing to do, was to start working on this story. So I just adulted for a while. I know, nobody likes doing that. So I started adulting, but I'd always have this notebook, pretty little notebook, in my bag and around me. So I didn't feel like I wasn't doing anything, because anytime I thought up something or something popped into my head, I could go to that notebook and start writing about it. And that's the great thing about this part, is that if you are stuck on a character, or if you're stuck on a world, or if you're stuck on a situation you're trying to work out, or a government system you're trying to work out, you can always flip the page and go to something else. So if you're stuck on something, just go, let's work on another character. Let's work on the world. Let's work on the government. You know, the only things we can't do in real life. So by being able to switch back and forth and just switch pages and flip the page and start something new, it makes you feel like you're still being productive, and you're actually still being productive in this story without actually having to stick with one thing at a time. So while you're doing this, number 6 kind of sneaks up on you, and it's called looking for a path. So while you're sitting here and you're breaking apart these ideas and you're asking questions why, and you're coming up with different characters and you're developing these characters and you're developing those worlds and you're coming up with all these great ideas and you feel like an awesome genius, you're also going to be looking for like connections. So this world over here would be really cool if it was a aqua planet and it only ever had water on it. Ooh, this character would be a great fish character. I don't know. So you start looking for bonds between characters, and you start looking for things that would attract other characters to the situation, or how this character would react would affect how this character reacts, and you just start creating these little strings and pathways and bonds that go all over the freaking place. Now, while this is all going on, this is also a great time to kind of start coming up with a bare bones outlining points. So this is really good for just coming up with, ooh, this could be the major conflict, is that this person doesn't like this person, so this person's trying to stop this person from saving the world or something like that. So you start coming up with these bonds, and then they go, oh, that's a good plot point, so we're going to write that down as a plot point. Ooh, that's a good sideline, so these two are romantically involved, which could affect the whole storyline, so that's going to be put down as a plot point. So things like that start popping up, and you start to develop little plot points in there. Now, once you think you've done everything as a writer, you haven't. Number 7. So for number 7, I'm literally just going to put the word add. Just add more. Add more details, add more characters, add more worlds, add more depth. Anything and everything that you need to add, just add more. So by adding more, you're giving yourself more things to work with. For number 8, number 8, which is going to be to go ahead and start outlining your novel. Yay, you're at the point where you're outlining. Yay. And basically, if you're a pantser, I know you're rolling your eyes at me and you've probably already clicked off, but you know, whatever, that's fine. But even if you are a pantser, I always suggest having at least a very bare bones outline. So a very just, this needs to happen here, this needs to happen here, this needs to happen here. Just so you kind of have a road in front of you to try and figure out your way out of this forest of questions and answers and details and things like that you've come up with. So you need to have kind of like a dirt road, if you will, just to help yourself get through the story. Now, if you're not a pantser and you are someone kind of sort of like me that has to plot out the whole damn thing before you write, this is your point to do it. So you go ahead and you start going through your plotting points and filling things in, and you'll start to see this beautiful story develop and grow in front of your eyes. So with this, outlining is different for everyone. Everyone loves to do it differently. I love my notebooks and Scrivener. That's my thing. Some people, like I said, love the 3x5 note cards all over the floor or all over a pushpin board. Some people like it just on Word, Microsoft Word, things like that. So you just kind of have to know your way of outlining, or you know what, try them all and see which one works for you. But this is all about you now. The outlining is your thing. So that is it on my video for plotting, and whether you're plotting a short story or a long story, I hope this helps you along your writing journey. And that is pretty much it for plotting. But really quick, what I'm gonna do is a very shameless plug of my newest website. This is KristinaBakBooks.com, and I just revamped it and redid it, and I'm so excited and I love it. It's my little baby. And I also have blog posts on there that correlate with these videos, so check it out over there if you want just like a little bit more details into the process. And I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!